So, good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Career Pathshala. Yes, we have an excited session. Mandeep, we logged in and we start getting comments. So, viewers, good afternoon. We have today a very special session on sales in IT, and we have with us Mr. Shashank and Arunima, who will be taking this session on sales. What sales is all about. There are a lot of thoughts and where students have for sales, how career in sales could be, and we have tried to keep this topic specific with IT sales because IT sales is one of the major dominant factors in the present for the present youngsters to make career with. So, in today's session, we will be just talking about this, and in the end, we will be taking your question and answer. To set the context beyond the topic, we will be trying to cover the general aspects of the career building, and as a fresher when you apply for companies, what things you should take care, and what areas you should look at. So before we go on, we would like to have the introduction of the speakers today, and we really want like Arunima to introduce herself, and then Shashank, and how was your journey till now, and we welcome you again at Career Pathshala. Arunima and Shashank, thank you for giving your time. And to set the context, let the students understand that were you also a student, or how was your journey? And we start from Arunima and then go to Shashank.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity in the first go. I think you, out of all people, know my journey. But just to tell everybody else, so I started off with Ellen City as my engineering college. And that's how I started off my journey. And I am an EC student. And with sir's guidance, and at that point in time, he brought in a lot of exposure from the rest of the colleges that we had. So I got an opportunity to work with Zycus, and I worked as a business development representative at that point in time. And with that, I grew ahead and became a senior exec with 3 years of experience therein. And currently now I'm working with BrowserStack as an account executive that comprises of end-to-end sales. So that's in short my brief journey from where I started from Bhopal and now working in Bombay with every cutting edge technology coming in and making sure that we're still standing. And this is a great opportunity for us to give back to the society. And this is why I'm really thankful of you to give me such a platform wherein I could at least make sure that I can put in any amount of difference, the delta that I can cause. So thank you so much for that, sir.
Thank you, Arunima. Definitely, that delta matters, and I also like to thank Arunima for bringing Shashank to the show. It is through her that we could bring Shashank. Shashank is again a general manager in the same company. Shashank, your introduction and how your journey from probably from your school, college, and then how you have been with the various top-notch companies, and now where you are, a small
Sure.
journey of yours.
Sure. Firstly, thank you, Anuj sir. Thank you for having me on the show. And I think I should thank Arunima for proposing my name. For some reason, she thinks I'll be good, so I'll try to live up to that image. However, it's always a pleasure talking with students. That's the part that I enjoy the most, because I get in touch with people who are just probably graduating or who are looking for their new jobs. I always feel that they bring in the energy and the enthusiasm that probably for people who have been in a job for a long time, it's kind of fading away. So it's really an honor to be here. To start with my journey, I was born in Bombay. My father used to work for Asian Paints, and so when I was in the first standard, he got transferred to a very small town called Kadalur, which is around 45 minutes away from Pondicherry. And I came back to Bombay in the 8th standard, and it was a big cultural shock to me at that time, coming from a small town into a major city. So, I think the part where I was staying down south, that gave me a lot of grounding in terms of the person that I actually want to be. Post which I'm a commerce graduate. So after my in Bombay, at least after 10th, you immediately join junior college. So I'm a commerce graduate. Post my graduation in commerce, I decided to take up a job with Deutsche Bank. So my understanding was clear that before I actually do an MBA, which I wanted to do, I wanted to actually be on the field, work with a company, learn what it is to to start right from the bottom of the pyramid. So I was with Deutsche Bank for around 3 years. Out of the 1 year in Deutsche Bank, they sent me to London. So it was a paid internship over there, where during the week I would work at the main office, and then over Saturday, Sunday we had classes in affiliation with University of Cambridge. Post which I came back to India, and immediately after a year, I took a break of around 5 to 6 months to study for my MBA. I got through Wellington Institute of Management Development and Research in Bombay. There, my specialization was in business design. So business design incorporates a lot of design thinking principles into management studies. And it was then that at the end of the first year, when we had to do our summer internship, it was then that I actually got into Cadbury's to do sales. Right, it was my first exposure to sales, and that is something that was really close to my heart because I learned a lot during those 2 months. We actually had to go to Delhi, and my first experience was that in half an hour, we sold half a ton of Tang. Right, so we had to go into the market to shop, and then I just saw how everything is based so much on interpersonal relationships. So I had an ASM who was guiding me, area sales manager. You would go to shop, and he would say, "Arey, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, बिक जाएगा, माल ले लो माल." So that was my first exposure to sales, and I really enjoyed the journey. And I said that this is something that I really want to get into. Luckily, when placement season came at the end of second year, I got placed in a company called Tata Interactive Systems. It was into learning and development. So I was working with the HR community over there, and we used to sell learning solutions. Post that, I moved into LinkedIn. LinkedIn, in fact, I just want to stress upon how important it is to have relationships. The person who hired me for LinkedIn is the same person who hired me at BrowserStack as well. He reached out to me and told me there's an opportunity. So in LinkedIn, again, I was working with the HR community over there, selling them recruitment solutions. Post which I moved into Gartner. The move into Gartner was more because because 5 years of my life, I was in the HR community. I wanted to, try the other aspects as well. So that was into Gartner, where I used to work more with the chief marketing officers and the chief executive officers. Post which I had this opportunity to come to work at BrowserStack. And now at BrowserStack, I'm leading a group of 10 people and selling especially into the UK and Ireland market. So that's my journey in a nutshell. Yeah.
Quite a journey you had, and at your age, I think there's a lot to travel, and in this journey, definitely the type of experience and exposure you had, a lot of experience would bring to this show today. So viewers will definitely take the advantage, and thank you so much, Shashank, for accepting Arunima's and my invitation for Career Pathshala. And the viewers of all cities who are joining in the show will definitely be benefited out of it. So we start with the topic of the day, which is on sales. So what is all sales, and specifically IT sales, all about, and how and why it is important that you feel that there is a career in IT sales for youngsters. So we can just look at the demand of this career as this field as career opportunity. So how and why this career in IT sales is relevant in present market. Shashank, if you can throw some light, and then we can take some pointers from Arunima.
Sure. So I would just like to bring everyone's attention to the current situation the world is in, right? Which is, it's a pandemic, right? And we've had many sectors who have laid off a lot of people. We've had sectors who have shut down. Businesses are doing differently. Real estate, especially in Bombay, that was supposed to be a booming sector. Now people are re-looking at the entire business model, wherein they are saying that, work from home, where, it's the norm today. I think we will be, replicating this for the future as well. Is a lot of, rent costs are will go down for these companies. Companies can sublet their properties to other companies as well, which makes it a separate source of income. So what I'm trying to say over here is that in this entire pandemic, if there is one industry that has been affected the least, I would call it the IT industry, right? And IT industry, if you look at it, it is a very broad industry. I can probably categorize it into software services, wherein you will have companies like TCS, Wipro, Tech Mahindra operating majorly in the space. Then you have companies that are in products that would sell their products into different companies. For instance, LinkedIn has a product of its own that it sells into a different company. You also have a market which is IT consultancy, which is where companies like Gartner, companies like like Republic come in, wherein we are, they kind of take a consultancy approach into the IT sector, and then they sell it to other sectors, which is like manufacturing, which is like pharmaceutical, so on and so forth. So I really feel that in this present day and age, and looking at the future, I think IT is, as a sector, is there to remain, right? In fact, if you look at BrowserStack today, we are probably have seen so much growth since the time the pandemic happened. Now, the reason is because people are working from home, right? Along with that, if you look at what Prime Minister Modi has been saying since the time he's joined, it is digitalization everywhere. Everything goes online. So this sector currently is a booming sector. And we've had so much growth at BrowserStack primarily because of this, that everybody is working from home. More and more companies are going online with everything. Zoom, as an example, if you look at it, Zoom as a company, its stock has shot up 400% from where it was currently, right? And today, the owner of Zoom has become a billionaire, right? So I'll probably stress upon here more that IT is there for today. IT is there for the future. It's the space to be in. And we'll talk about sales later, but I just wanted to point that out, that this is especially a sector that all of y'all should be interested in. All of y'all should become more tech savvy, right? And it's there for the future as well. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll let Arunima probably throw more light on this one.
Yeah, so majorly you covered most of the pointers, but to add on to that, I mean, we know that this industry consists of like 5.2 trillion of a complete economy, and that's global. So it's not just India, it's UK, it's US, and US mostly having 33% of it. So their major revenue comes out of that. You covered most on IT, and I would maybe merge that up with sales and anything and everything that even a small business idea, it only sells if it's sold well. So you basically are the backbone to generate revenue for any organization that you want to work with, even if you come up with your own idea. Unless and until you can sell it to anybody else, you can't generate profits. So that's something that actually got me into this field, and which makes me so sure of the fact that this industry is never going to go. Because everywhere now you see it's all moving on an online platform. It's so funny that in our engineering times, we were supposed to read about SaaS, software as a service, and we never took it seriously because this was something that we couldn't envision. And at this point in time, we are only talking about that. What is software as a service? What is platform as a service? And how it's going to grow. So this is the place where you can grow, and it's a foundation that you build on what you have right now and how it's going to grow ahead. If you see Reliance, it banked on only on the digital platforms it came in. In fact, just yesterday, he came up with letting go of 2G as a technology. So all these ideas that are being presented worldwide and taking India forward to the market that's running in, I think this is the industry that everybody can be safe and can make their careers out of. So I think that's from my end.
A great perspective you brought in, Arunima and Shashank, especially the global need for IT sales and how India and the youth of India can take the advantage in the rising curve and rise the ladder with all their preparations so that they can safely land up in having a job in IT sales and they can grow from there. So there's a huge opportunity, and the best of the best companies taking IT sales into a very important portfolio in their companies. So we were hearing about like students from who are presently in colleges. So this field is very full of opportunities. So how the students in their colleges, what they can do so that they can prepare themselves for being a part of IT sales. So what presently they can look at, and what are the needs which is required as a pre-qualifier. You look at hiring a fresher in this domain, in IT sales in general, not only in your company but in general, how what is being looked at. So Arunima, I would like you to first take this, because you would be very new and freshly fresh in mind, and then Shashank will add something which he might have thought of hiring in his time as freshers. So Arunima, your inputs on that.
So for college students, one thing that I would really want to stress on, everybody wants to enjoy their life, and I am up for it. It's amazing. The 4 years and the 3 years in college, it's you can't get them back. But I would definitely suggest them to do more research, and they need to understand where they want to go ahead with. So right now, if I stand here and I talk to maybe say 10 people around me, most of them, I mean, out of 10, 6 people would crib about the fact that, you know what, they didn't want to do this job. They're not happy. And they're not happy because they did not make an informed decision, because they grabbed on the first opportunity out of desperation and they picked that up. And there's never coming back, even when they want to change their lifestyle. And so the risk factor is so much that they want to just go ahead in what they're doing, and they're unhappy for the rest of their lives. So for the engineering students, the MBA and commerce, or anybody at this point in time, I would just ask them to do some research as to where they want to go ahead with. When training and placement, they ask, what are your strengths, your weaknesses, and it's so funny that it's all made up, because they don't know what their actual strengths are. So they need to evaluate themselves, and they need to know where they're getting into. If you want to get into any organization that you feel, X is something that I like, read about it, how they're doing, what's their future roadmap, how can you fit into the role, what is your actual 5-year plan. Don't come up and say, 5 years later, I want to be in your company and I want to prosper as you are prospering. That's very vague. People need to get into details and tell them exactly why they need to get into the job. And even when I say this, you actually are selling yourself. So at the end of the day, it's all sales. So if you really want to get into an organization, you need to read a lot. You need to have a good resume. You need to be confident. And these are all basics. So people get ahead and they want to imbibe all artificial and superficial things. I would really want them to stick to the basics, do some research, where do they want to go ahead with, and chalk out a plan for themselves. Make a roadmap for yourself. Where do you want to go ahead? Maybe 2 to 3 years down the line. So that's a basic that I would want to suggest to the graduate students at this point in time.
Yes, Shashank, something to add more?
Yeah, probably I'll throw in another perspective over here. So students, for me, probably like how Arunima, maybe she knew exactly what she wanted, right? In my life, it has been a little different. Have been more on elimination. So I knew pretty clear right from the beginning what I don't want to do, right? When I finished my 10th standard, right, I knew that I didn't want to do science. I didn't want to get into engineering. I knew maths wasn't my forte. I didn't want to do anything remotely associated with the human body, the doctor, or anything for that matter, right? So for me, it was elimination at that time, knowing that I don't want to do science, and hence I chose commerce, right? Now, after getting into commerce, even if you look at the choices that came across that way, I knew for a fact that I didn't want to do an MBA immediately. I knew I wanted to do an MBA, but I knew that I didn't want to do it immediately after graduating, because I wanted to know what corporate life is all about. I wanted to start from the bottom, right? I wanted to have those feet on street to know how a particular company works. Then I knew that I wanted to get into the theoretical side, which MBA teaches you in a big way, right? But along with MBA, along with the theoretical knowledge, what I also got at that point was in terms of projects. And in the projects, I took live projects with companies that are present in the market, right? The only choice that I would say that I made fully consciously was that after my MBA, I wanted to get into sales, right? Y'all are at a point at this juncture in your life wherein either some of y'all are in placements, some of y'all are just graduating from engineering. You have first, what I would suggest is have 5 or 6 companies that you really adore, right? That you really want to get into. You've read a lot about in the news, right? You want to get into those companies at some point in my life, definitely. I would say start from there. A very powerful social media tool that all of us have, all of us that need to be on, is LinkedIn today, right? Have your profiles on LinkedIn. When you're on LinkedIn, you have this option to follow companies, right? It can be any company. You type in the company name in the search bar, you follow that company. What happens is anything that the company updates in its news section, in its article section, or in the jobs that it has posted on LinkedIn, right? You get those updates. So you're always abreast about the companies. Now, when these companies, let's say, they come to campus and when they want to hire you, you already have an idea in terms of what the latest news about the company is. Now, I would suggest that you bring this information that you have into the interview, because if I am a company and if I'm going to hire you today, I want to know why you want to join my company. That is one of the top questions that are asked in almost every interview that I've sat for till date or have conducted. The one question is, why do you want to join a company? Now, if you say that it's a very respected brand and I want to join, that's an answer that they've heard for so many years together, right? What is it that you bring in terms of detail? Attention to detail is probably the most important thing in life, right? What is it that you bring in terms of detail that I want to join your company because, as an example, let me give you an example. I want to join your company because since the last 2 years, I understand that the revenues of your company have increased. You have done XYZ CSR initiatives. You have onboarded so many people, right? You have adopted certain technologies that are going to be prime technologies in 1 or 2 years, right? And as a company, your culture is great. I have seen all of this information on your company page on LinkedIn. Bang, bang on. That is why that is a decision that is well thought about. And the person who is sitting across, who's taking your interview, knows that you have done your homework before you have come to your interview, right? So all I'm saying is, know, as Arunama rightly said, know what you want, which company you want to get into, read about the company, right? And bring that into those conversations during your interview rounds.
Very true. Like these are something which probably will be required for students, not only for appearing in an IT sales job, but in any company job which you are doing. So knowing your customer is a requirement for the company and also for the people who are applying for the company. So if you come with, it's a very, very important point. I would like really the viewers to stress upon. Nothing to do, just make a LinkedIn profile, follow the companies. Shashank has given the right recipe for you to make have a good impression on the interviewer, and also for you to understand how you can make a differentiator with companies. Identify some 10-15 companies, follow them, and you will slowly make choices of companies and roles which you want to make. A very important input which we got today, and definitely it comes from experience, Shashank. So we really thank you for this. I will probably bring this to all my students when I go back and talk to them. So I was also talking to Shashank just before the show, and we thought of taking this as the topic is now opened up for the fresher hiring and for the beginners, and the context also Shashank has said. So Shashank, for in general, now we are just going away from the topic of. And in generally, the fresher hiring career Pathshala is all about how to make careers in which a lot of people appear for interviews. So some small tips on CV making, on how to present themselves during the interview. They get nervous. Sometimes they don't know the answer. So you have taken thousands of interviews. You have interviewed people from technical, non-technical backgrounds, MBAs of all prestigious colleges in India and abroad. So what are your basic inputs and your experience which you would like to share with freshers on this?
So when you are at this stage wherein you are one of the 1,000 people who are probably getting shortlisted for a particular interview round with a company, right? The first mode of elimination is usually the CV, right? Everyone tells you share your CV. The company goes through the list of 100, 200 CVs that they have, and they just quickly eliminate basis the CV. I am not a big fan of that approach, but unfortunately, that is the reality today, right? So, quick tips in terms of when you are generating your CV. I think the CV should not be more than one particular Word document. Since most of us make our CVs on Word, it always needs to be one particular Word document, right? There are various. There is no right way. A lot of people put the statement of purpose. I feel that a statement of purpose is not really required at the beginning of the CV. A is hygiene factors. It needs to contain obviously your name, your residential address, and your phone number. Most important, right? Secondly, all of us, I think till now, we've probably had some kind of work experience. If not, then we've done engineering, right? Or we've done certain other courses like maybe commerce or maybe arts or something like that, right? Now, when you're preparing that basic a CV, one thing is always important, and that thing is to break your CV in terms of timelines, right? Let's say after you finish school, you went to college. Put the duration of the college over there. Post that, when you get into your, if you have some prior work experience, put that work experience over there, and you need to kind of talk a little about your college stint, something about your work, right? So that I'll make it easier for you all. I'm just going to share my screen, and on this screen you will be able. It's my CV that I've just updated just before I joined BrowserStack, right? So I'll just quickly share that with you. You can have a look. Just give me a second.
Viewers are requested not to copy the CV.
Can you all see my CV?
I know.
It's preparing, Shashank.
Oh, is it? It is?
No, I think.
The screen.
Sorry, you can or you can't?
No, we can't.
You can't.
Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, I think now you should be able to see. I'm just going to quickly.
Yes, it's coming.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to share with you all. Can you see my CV right now?
Yes.
Right.
We can see 2-3 windows and LinkedIn and your CV.
Yeah. Now is it fine?
Yeah.
You can see only my CV now. All right. Great.
Yes.
Okay. So guys, probably for you all, let me just zoom on it a little bit. Yeah, I think it's better now. All right. So this is the CV. As I said initially, your date of birth, your email. This is hygiene, right? About me, it's just a small statement over here, right? Now, what I wanted to show you all here is when I start with, since I have, I'm 33 right now. I'm 33 years old. So I've not included school and everything. So I've just included my MBA mark sheet over here, right? Very quickly, achievements, awards, and certifications in terms of whether I've received some particular award. For instance, I've said that the best management student in Wellington Institute, that was the award that I received. So such landmark important achievements, if you want to put it in your CV, you should put it in your CV, right? This, if you look at it over here, this talks about my Deutsche Bank stint. It talks about 2007 to April 2010. Forgive the formatting over here. I think because of the format, it's gone a little off. But everything is in a line. One thing in your CV is anything that you put in over here, I would say that you need to quantify it. Quantification is very important. For instance, earlier when I prepared my basic CV, I just said that I was one of the people who was selected for the Mountbatten internship program. Right now, whenever you put in a point, ask yourself, so what? Right? When you ask yourself, so what? Then you will ask yourself in terms of, was it really that big that I included in my CV? Right? Or is there something that I'm missing? So then how I've modified it is, I've said I was one of the 15 working professionals. Now, immediately when you put quantity on it, people can actually know that, okay, there were not too many people taken. He was just one out of the 15. So that makes me again in the forefront, right? Another idea over here I would give over here is, let's say in LinkedIn, I said ranked first in the stack rankings at LinkedIn in my first quarter. I achieved 240% of my target. Again, I'm quantifying my achievement over here. I just didn't say that I achieved more than 100% of my quarter, because everyone is expected to do more than 100%, right? So those kind of things, I would say that when you go back to your CV, try and quantify things in terms of, ask yourself the question, if I'm putting something as a bullet point, so what, right? And when you ask yourself the so what, you try and put more detail into it, right? So here as well, if you look at this over here, I've also stated, if you look, there are two LinkedIns over here, right? The reason I've stated LinkedIn twice is I joined LinkedIn as a corporate relationship manager till 2017. Then in 2017, I got promoted. So let's say in your jobs or in your whatever work experience you have, if there is some kind of a promotion, always mark it as two different things, right? Now, to put some context into y'all, probably y'all have done a project, right? Now, in that project, right, in your CV, outline what your role was in the project. Outline what were your findings in the project. Outline if that project was presented to somebody, right? Let's say there were certain corporates who came, you presented your project over there. Keep in touch with corporates and ask them in terms of all my suggestions and my findings. Am I able to replicate this somewhere else, right? Put those findings in the project. So all in all, I know I've spoken a lot, but all in all, I would say is that from a CV perspective, right? Detail your CV well, quantify it, ask yourself the question, so what? If you have got some kind of a progression within, let's say within a particular previous job experience, or if you've had a particular project that you have worked on, if the project was awarded best project, put all those things in, right? Your CV needs to stand out amongst those 100 or 200 CVs that are there in that pile, right? So also one last statement on the CVs, you should know your CV 100%. If there is something on your CV and your interviewer asks you about, okay, you've mentioned this point, what is this point about? You should be able to talk about it in detail, which is why the CV needs to be nothing but the truth, right? If there is a point there, we definitely should know how to back it up, right? So I think I'll leave it at that. If there is an example needed, I'm more than happy to share this with you all in whatever forum later on, but that is my 2 cents on CV creation.
Anything beyond CV, like if we talk about a very good example of CV which you have given, and quantifying is probably not many freshers look at, and putting the knowledge in terms of projects and internship, mentioning the roles and the type of organization and numbers they have influenced, and their role, putting it and quantifying it definitely is something which students, it would be really a good way to emphasize on their skills and their experiences. And one important take is to know your CV. It's very important. A lot of freshers, they even don't know what they have written in the CV. So at least read your CV 4 or 5 times before whatever you are mentioning and why you are mentioning it. A very important sales pitch by people who are working in sales. You have to sell yourself. So a great takeaway. And the CV is your first letter which you are sending it to corporate. So it's an importance of CV. So any other areas, Arunima and Shashank, you want to bring in during the campus preparation? So we are going a bit off the topic, but it's very important when speakers like you guys come in. So it's good to take something extra from you. So in terms of placement preparations, Arunima, your some thoughts? Like CV is something very beautifully brought by Shashank. So, and then we'll come back to Shashank on some areas of interviewing and presenting themselves to the interviewer, whether it is a technical or a HR or a managerial interview.
So to add on to what Shashank mentioned about how they need to prepare their CV, I would also want to highlight on how students need to put some effort in building that CV. So it shouldn't really be something that they make it just before the company is going to come in. It should be aligned more towards, it's a journey. So you actually need to do it. It's not something that you get it in a 2-day certificate that, you know what, this is something that I've done. I would rather want them to focus on building that CV well, take opportunities, find in more opportunities where they could do more projects. So, for instance, in our time, there was major internship, and there were just 3-4 platforms that we could do. For EC students, it was in BSNL, or you could do maybe in any other telecom industry, and most of them did that. And how Shashank clearly mentioned that you need to stand out of what you were doing. So I tried to have my internships from other areas, and I made sure that I bagged in more certificates. So not just certificate for participation, but you need to go ahead and put your hands, get your hands dirty in all the sectors that you can, so that it makes you a multiverse, not just somebody who's into just one sector going ahead, which actually gives you more ability to sell yourself in front of the person. And also another thing, I would this is something that I did every time that I would sit for any other company apart from for instance, if I was sitting for Wipro, I had another pitch altogether, that would focus only towards Wipro. I would change my CV accordingly. If it was Wipro, I would make my CV more towards IT sector, for what it's coming for. And for Zycus, I changed my CV more towards my role. That's for a BDR. So I had more for my communication skills or what I've done. So this is something that I would probably suggest for building your CV. Apart from that, most of us have the potential of getting into any organization, but where it lacks is confidence, because we always keep doubting ourselves if we are best fit for that job or not. If I'm going to make it to an interview, even if I did, will they select me or not? So one thing that would be my suggestion is, while you're preparing for your interview, it's very necessary and it's basic, while when you start talking to yourself in front of a mirror, when you start replicating to, you just talk it out loud, it makes you more confident. And one, we should always remember that yes, if our CV has got selected, we have gone ahead so far, that confidence should not be that one thing that bogs us down from achieving what we can. So that's something that I've seen so far, the best of best falling out just because they were not too confident to get what they want.
True. So being 100% about yourself and being there, uh, aware about your own potential and strength is very important for kids to, like, students to perform and give their 100%. So very important message which Arunima has given. Not to let that one small thing कि मेरा नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा, but always think on कि yes, I'm probably among those thousands who appeared. Maybe some 100 got selected, so I'm in that 100. So my chances are pretty fair. So look at the sun, not at the clouds. So you get more of sunshine. So any it's getting very informative and very crucial. Good inputs, Arunima. Anything, Shashank, you want to add on interviews and as freshers these guys go? CV is an important part, but anything on strength, on weaknesses, on something, maybe how they present themselves as, please.
Sure. I really like Arunima's point in terms of having a different CV, making it different for different kind of companies, and talking about those skills that are required for that particular company. I think that's a great point. The only thing that I would say is one of the questions that we keep that repeats itself in every particular interview is, it starts off with "Tell me about yourself." Right? Yeah. Now, a lot of times, that question defines how the interview goes ahead, right? So I would give this as a suggestion, that when the question comes about "Tell me about yourself," you need to start, let's say, communicating your strengths and weaknesses in a way of a story that is engaging for the person. At the same time, you want to, what you want to say. I'll probably give you a very short live example, right? when I started this call, I told you all about how I started off in down south in Kadalur, which is a small town, right? So if someone asks me the question today in terms of tell me about yourself, usually the way I go is in my head, I know I have to speak about the leadership positions that I've held. I need to speak about one quality that I think I rate myself really high is in taking the onus, taking the initiative in doing a lot of things. And third is I want to be the best in doing whatever I want to do. Right. So to answer that question, tell me about yourself. This is how I usually start. So I say that, hey, yes. So I was born in Bombay, and then my father went down south to Kadalur, right? Now I spent 7 years of my life over there, and those are the formative years of my life. I used to go to a school where people did not even have proper footwear to wear, right? The qualities that I learned during that time was more about the value of money and how to be grateful and thankful for what we have in life, right? So at the very young age, I understood the value of what money brings and what good education can bring going ahead, right? Now honing on these qualities when I came back to Bombay during my first job, right? How that helped me was when I joined my first job, I knew that I wanted to take an initiative in doing things new in a new way. I wanted to undergo leadership positions, right? So I took up a project of my own in my first company, wherein I wanted to increase, right, the revenue of the company by adopting a different approach in sales. I adopted that different approach wherein I went pan India instead of focusing my attention on the West. This initiative that I took bore a lot of fruit, because of which I could hit my number within the first 6 or 7 months of my job, right? Because of that, I got promoted to becoming a senior business development representative, right? Now, I didn't stop over there. I also wanted to improve my own skills as a professional, which is why I started reading much more. I started increasing my social presence. And because of social presence is when I got my actual job at LinkedIn, where Abhishek Day, looking at my LinkedIn profile, he liked what he saw and he offered me a job at LinkedIn. From there, it has always been that I'm trying newer approaches to do my job in a better way, because of which promotions came in sooner and sooner, right? But all of this said and done, I do understand that I don't want to be stuck to a particular industry, which is the HR industry, which is why I took the decision of leaving LinkedIn, where I was doing really well, and going into Gartner, which was going into more of the CMO community and the CXO community, right? I was selling to a different cost center altogether over there. Now, what I learned over there was that if I have to meet a CXO for 20 minutes, my preparation needs to start for probably a week more, because a CXO is only going to talk to me if I'm making sense, right? So I took this upon as a new challenge on myself, which is why I accepted the role at Gartner. However, at the end of the day, I always wanted to get into a people management role, which is why when Abhishek Day reached out to me, which again strengthens a relationship of how relationships are so important and relationships matter, I immediately took the opportunity of getting into a people management position wherein I could spread across what I've learned more in my life to my team. That is a nice way of saying, tell me about yourself, because you've spoken about right from the beginning the qualities that matter to you, how you imbibed certain qualities, how you moved it onto the next job, and then you took it ahead. So just thought I'd share that example.
I'll probably use the same in applying in the next university if I'm changing jobs. A beautiful way to it was like more of a storytelling and just creating the importance of your different roles, and that brings interest in your profile. Very well said, and students are fortunate to hear the best of experiences directly coming in a packaged form thanks to COVID. So we really take ahead, and coming back to the topic of bringing sales back, because in fact we were on the topic, we were all about talking on fresher sales, how to they can sell themselves. But now IT sales, so Shashank, I would like to also know that how is the future of this IT sales, because at times people think that whatever IT sales today is, how it is going to grow as an industry. And then we also have a related question that within the career progression, how growth happens. Like we were discussing that some parents feel that sales is a job only for people up to 40s maximum you can afford. There's so much pressure, you cannot handle it throughout your life. So I have two questions. One, what is the growth of the sales industry in coming times, because automation and a lot of things are parallelly coming in? And second, if someone joins sales as a career, how long can they make, or what are the different jobs they can further switch or modify themselves in coming years?
Sure. Anuma, you want to start? I'll pitch in.
Sure, Arnima.
Um,
So,
so, um,
how, yes.
So how I see the progression, as initially, we mentioned how the stocks are changing, how the world is moving towards digital transformation. So how growth perceives in sales, I can tell you something that even if you start really low, so how the hierarchies are, it probably starts from a business development. I would go ahead in a little detail how it starts from business development representation. I can't tell you how the promotion line goes on, because that differs from company to company. But in a nutshell, it's from how you start getting a foot in the door, how you represent your organization, how you make sure, because you become the face of the company. So once you're trying to pitch into maybe CXOs or VPs or directors, that's how you start off. And then it comes down to coming down to end-to-end sales. So I'm talking on really, really proper how it goes ahead. But if I were to speak about how the industry is trending, so it's a short thing that everything is getting online, and selling online on a platform. Even nook and corners, every small city, every small place, you see everybody's on the phone. And right now, even Amazon has reached itself so far in deep, and it is all because of it. And it's great to see a journey of a country going ahead on this curve. So I think this is a very safe and secure place. And in fact, sir, my father is one of those who said that, you can't, you shouldn't take sales because it's just for from 35 to 40, and they're going to make sure that you're not there. It's a super pressure job. And how will you go ahead, how are you going to make sure that you'll be in this place? What if they ask you to travel a lot? And how will you go ahead in future? What if you have to leave the job and whatnot? What if in fact, recently there's so many layoffs going on. How are you sure of your career? And this is something that I told my father, that sales is something that comes with experience. So right now I just have 3 years of experience, and I can give you something. And if you see Shashank, he's got 10 and plus years of experience, and he brings in another perspective. So this is a place where you actually grow day by day, because you meet a lot of people, you understand their perspective, you try and change yourself according to the industry. So I wouldn't want to bash any other industry, but I think this is the only industry where you grow day in, day out, because innovation is something that is required each and every day because of the cutthroat competition that's there. So that competition makes me want to improve myself more. So which is why I still want to go ahead and stay in this industry, because I will make sure that even 10 years down the line, I have to stand out. And every time, to make sure that I am standing out, I need to know something new. I need to make sure that I bring in that X factor that would make me stand out. And that's how I feel that this industry grows ahead. If you see right now, Apple has more value than Saudi Aramco, which is huge. It is because it comes with a lot of innovation, variance, and it covers every segment. And which is why IT sales in itself has a lot of potential, and it makes me grow as a better person than anything else. So which is what matters.
Awesome. I would probably, answer that question by giving you an example as well. if you look at Jio today, right? You Mukesh Ambani, I think, became the fourth richest person in the world like 2-3 days back, right? And all of us know that the main reason, right? Mukesh Ambani, I think, I think he's a great businessman per se. Let me put it that way, because he understood that petroleum, oil, and everything is an industry that has a lot of sunk costs. When I talk about sunk costs, it's very capital intensive, right? A lot of machinery involved, a lot of labor involved, right? Now, a lot of people say Jio, if you flip it, it is oil. Oil was the old business, Jio is a new business. But if you look at Jio, only because Mukesh Ambani understood that India has close to 2 billion people, which means 2 billion cell phones minimum in the future. Like for every, if you have one cell phone per person, all that is IT enabled, right? He has Facebook, who has come and invested in Jio. He has Google, who has come and invested in Jio, right? Two of the largest companies in the world coming to India, right? Because IT is the driver in India, primarily two reasons. One is the number of people. When you say number of people, that many more number of devices, that much more network, that much more potential to sell into, right? So Google, Facebook, everyone look at this as a gold mine currently. Now, how it translates into IT sales for y'all, let me give you an example, right? As I said, there is SaaS, which is software as a service, which is currently where Arunima and I are both working. Second is there are networking companies, let's say like a Cisco, like an Orange Services, right? They are in the networking part of it to ensure that everything works well. Then there is cybersecurity, which is one of the top selling things today, because since everything is going online, everything needs to be safe and secure as well. Right? At the same time, as I said, there are IT services like your TCS, Wipro, Mahindra, everyone. Now, what these guys do is they go to non-IT industries as well, like a manufacturing, and say that, hey, I'm going to take care of all your IT systems, right? I'm going to take care that there is connectivity. I will ensure that your CRMs are in place, like Oracle, right? Like Salesforce. That belongs to the CRM industry, saying that for a company to run today, they need all these things online in a particular area. I will provide that infrastructure. Then there are data centers, which again comes under IT sales. Now, data centers is where all the information is stored, right? If you look at it this way, there are so many domains of IT sales. You can choose between all these particular domains, and all these domains are going to be booming at least for the next 15 to 20 years, right? And that boom is something that none of us can predict right now. It's going to be that massive, right? Also, look at it. For an airplane to fly, you have tons of systems inside as well, right? So IT, without us knowing, is plugged into our lives in ways that we cannot even imagine, right? So the future is bright, is very bright for IT sales, is all I'm going to tell you today. Also, I'll just take one step ahead. Do not worry about people telling you that sales is only for shrewd people. Sales is only for people who can, who can talk really well, or sales is only till 35 to 40 years. I can tell this to you, with a thumping yes, saying that there is no CEO of a successful company in the world who did not handle sales previously. In some way or the other, sales is important. The reason I chose sales is right there that will give you the reality of the company, right? If you want to grow in the company in whatever way, maybe you want to do marketing going earlier, you want to do HR, anything, right? For me, sales is the feet on street. Sales brings in the revenue, hence sales is the perfect way to start a company, right? And I can tell you with guarantee, our CEO is a techie, right? He's a technical guy, but our CEO needs to sell as well, right? We currently acquired a new company that is public information today. Do you think that the new company just came in easy? No, the CEO had to sell something for the new company to come in, right? So sales happens at every aspect of your life. And I would really recommend that if you want to become that top level executive in the company, somewhere there has to be sales in your CV.
So from fresher to CEO, the ladder has every step there should be some sales into it. So it's very important. And IT sales, as Shashank and Arunima brought in a lot of mythbusters about that the age and a certain stagnation in the growth in the career progression of IT sales is not going to be there, but it's going to be a booming field. And the type of investment and India coming up prepared in for the IT penetration with the telecom and the IT giants coming in is going to open up new avenues, new marketplace for IT sales, even to go deeper in the country. Definitely, it has a very large base across in the developed countries, but a very important topic probably we took in Career Pathshala. A few questions from students which we like: is MBA very much required to make a job, or maybe a career in IT sales, or experience plus MBA? So there has been some confusions among students. So if I'm getting a good job in an IT company, like Arunima, I think you did your engineering and went to a company directly, had some experience. So was it required also to do an MBA to grow or experience in good companies? Adjust that MBA degree. A question coming from
So
students.
I personally feel it's not a mandatory, it's not a mandate. It's something that you want to do. If it's that, then it's okay. It's not a need, it's a want. So if I tell you about my experience, I came in fresh from my college and directly into Zycus. And Zycus picked me because I was able to sell myself. But it did not pick me because I had an MBA degree or not. If in case in future I want to do an MBA, I still have that option open. But if you ask me if it's a mandate, if it's a need for me to or anybody else to get in an organization for sales, I'd say it's a no. It's not a need, it's a want that you do. It's an additional quality that sets you apart. I agree, but that is not something that would be that will be a benchmark that you need to follow to get into sales. So that would be from my side. I think Shashank, you could add on to that.
No, I agree completely with what Arunima is saying. It's an MBA is not a mandate, but let's put it this way, that MBA sometimes in some cases can be an additional thing that you have on your CV. So yeah, I wouldn't say MBA is a mandate at all.
And something for engineers, how technology can be a change maker in future of sales, and how the future of sales would be all about with the technology coming, changing new paradigm. Like earlier, the sales used to go and knock the door, meet people. Now it's all about getting up in the different time zones and talking to customers. So how IT could be the future enabler for sales? What you predict in the future of sales as career and industry would be? Arunima and Shashank, in any order you want to take.
I think Shashank,
Sure.
you could go first. I
Sure.
think
So could you just repeat that part, the beginning of the question, the engineering thing? If you could just repeat that.
I just said that a lot of engineers are there and who are viewing the show, and we are the so how technology can be a change maker in the career profile of sales. So that is
Sure.
the basic question, and how it is going to evolve with new technologies coming in. There will be AI, and there will be blockchain, and there will be a lot of things pushing in. So how the future of sales with technology as enabler would be in future.
Sure. All right. So from a way sales is done, I think Arunima and I are perfect examples for, we don't meet the customers in person ever, right? Our sales is completely virtual. It's completely online. We have customers in the US and all across the world, wherein all our conversations happen online. Today they happen over a Zoom call, right? Previously, I have worked with companies wherein, let's say, with Gartner and LinkedIn, wherein I would go and speak to companies, meet people in person, right? But I think what this pandemic has done is it has just shown us that productivity is so much more higher. Let's say if you're having a chat this way, right? And we're having a chat this way, we're reaching out to tons of more people than we could actually reach out if I have to do this in person, probably traveling to where all the students are, getting them together. So logistical nightmare is something that technology completely can overcome. And currently today it is completely overcoming the same way, right? In terms of the future, if I have to take certain technologies, I would again say that technology is an enabler, everything that we talk about in terms of AI, or we are talking about machine learning, or we are talking about blockchain, all these are technologies that companies today are imbibing in their systems, right? Now, when they imbibe in these systems, there are companies that want to sell this product after the technology. Let me give you an example, right? One of the conversations that I was having with Gartner was with PwC. PwC was a Gartner client. What we used to do with PwC is PwC used to go to companies and tell them that we will build solutions for you using AI, ML, blockchain. We will incorporate these technologies into the product that you want to build, and I will help you build it. So if you look at what I'm saying, PwC has to go to a company and saying that, hey, I have the technology, you have a product idea, let me help you build that product, and then you have to sell it into the market, right? So there are two avenues over here. A is you can be that company who has a ready-made product that PwC has helped them build, and you can sell that product into the market. So there is sales, right? Sales over there. Second aspect over here is the company that actually is making only an AI product, PwC. So now there are already two avenues open over here in terms of where sales can be. So to answer the question about the future, as long as technologies are evolving and as long as newer and newer technologies are coming, for instance, today we are talking about Bitcoin as well, right? Certain years back, no one knew what an optic fiber could be. Today, there are companies who sell optic fiber. For instance, Geo bought Hathway, right? And they are placing their optic fibers all across the world. So let's say only because today we don't know what 5 years down the line will look at as a technology, right? That doesn't mean that this particular technology won't sell. So as long as this technology is evolving, as long as digital is evolving, there is always going to be more and more avenues for sales in any field, because that is where everything starts. Any company wants to earn money, you start with sales. Because technologies evolve over a period of time, more companies are involved, which means more sales. So the future is bright. And as I said, I'm a huge fan of salespeople, of people who invest in a career in sales, because I know what kind of an effort it takes.
I think Shashank, you covered
Any points?
Yeah, I think Shashank covered most of it, whatever I had in mind. It's just that I would just say the the race of everybody to get on the top is going to make sure that you have anything and everything to sell. You will never fall short of the product or services that you'd want to sell. It's just the ways that you would want to sell, they'll change. But sales will always be there. That's the only constant. And the other thing that everybody talks about, change is the only constant that takes us forward. That's another thing. So in that race, you have to change, you have to innovate. For salespeople, the as he said, it's an enabler. So my product, my service would change, but then anytime or any point in time, I will have to sell that. So the ways would change, but this is something that's going to keep constant, and that avenue for us is open all the time.
Very good insight, Arunima and Shashank. So we are at the closure of our timelines. So, in any final comments by you about Career Pathshala for the viewers who are in their the first, second, and third years, how they should prepare and use this time? Uh, your few words or few suggestions to them as freshers, as they are going to come and join this very competitive market and a very rising market where they have to continuously learn, and it becomes very easier at the college level to understand to get a job, but working on different shift timings, handling different type of global customers. So what messages with your experience you'd like to give, and before we close off?
So I'll start off, if you don't mind, Shashank. To give you guys an insight, me and Shashank were talking before the session, and one thing that got into perspective was talking to youngsters who are in college that come up with a clean slate makes a lot of difference, because uh, at one point in time you get unidirectional. maybe because of influences, maybe about what you see and whatnot, you just stop looking. Your periphery gets closed. But with a clean slate, it gives you more avenues to decide what's out there. And that is something that Career Pathshala is a very good platform where you get to listen to and understand how not just IT industry, that's just one avenue. And I saw the calendar from 22nd and how TCS, how people from different organizations are coming in and giving their perspective as to how people can grow ahead and grow. So I think if this pandemic has actually brought in a lot more good than bad. I know we are all stuck, but I think it's because we're stuck, we have more access to information right in our hands. And Career Pathshala is one of them. I mean, I could have never imagined calling people. I mean, it would have been a task for you, sir, to bring in such people in our college, getting all the students in that one auditorium for us to listen to what they're saying. Maybe at that point in time, I would not even have given it a lot of attention. But right now, I have so much access to all of this information to make an informed decision for my life. It's just surprisingly amazing, and it's very informative. So I would just say that this is a great place for everybody to learn whatever they want to choose, and they have all information and experience right in front. They don't really have to commit those mistakes to come to that position. You can always learn from other people's experience, and this is a great platform for it.
I would firstly say I think that was very well said, Arunima. Secondly, one is thank you so much, Anuj sir, for getting us to this place. I think Career Pathshala is a great platform. I always love interacting with students and sharing whatever little learnings that I have in my life. So I'm more than happy to come on any more sessions that you want. Please feel free. More than happy to share my views and opinions, and also learn from you guys as well. Because in terms of questions, what happens is when I'm talking, I'm also again listening to myself. So certain things that probably I've forgotten, they come back to life. So so thank you so much for that. I would just leave students with three things. One thing is in terms of your social media profile, that is something that you cannot ignore, right? So please build your LinkedIn profiles, right? You want examples of what LinkedIn profiles to view, please have a look at Arunima's profile. You can have a look at my profile. More than happy to connect with you all on that particular platform, right? So that is point number one. Point number two is, I'll just share a very short story with you all. One thing being, I don't know, probably some of you all have heard it, but there was this village wherein there was a baby elephant who they used to raise a lot of these small baby elephants in a particular place, right? And after some years, there was certain travelers who were just going past that village, and they saw that there is a huge elephant standing over there, and the elephant is tied with a very small twig, like hardly like a small branch, like a rope around its neck and a very small branch. The elephant could easily just break off, right, and just go away. So the travelers who were passing that area, they went and they asked the guy who was taking care of the elephant and saying that, hey, tell me something. Why doesn't this elephant just break that twig and just go away? Why is he still there? Because his strength is so much more. So what the guy who takes care of the elephant says is that I've had this elephant since he was a baby elephant with me, right? And at that time when he was very small, he couldn't break away from this chain, right? What has happened is the elephant has grown up in huge size and strength and everything, but the elephant still thinks that he can't break away from that particular chain, right? Now, to correlate this to what y'all are, right, at this very juncture of your life, students, what I would say is that you'll have that potential in your life that y'all don't know, right? Today, you'll have enablers, you'll have technology, you'll have news. You don't have to wait for the newspaper in the morning. You have news on your phone. You have access to so much information, right? Use that information, right? Use that information to actually look at what potential you'll have in yourself. Today, you have Career Pathshala as a forum that gives you insights into various aspects of life, into various career choices that you can make, right? Make use of those things. All I want to say is that don't be that big elephant who doesn't know what their potential is. Don't be that big elephant who doesn't know that he can just break away and just run into the jungle, right? For y'all, that jungle is this world, this huge corporate world that y'all can get into, right? So go, just run into the jungle. There are tons of opportunities to come that y'all can really go behind. And my last thing is, in all of this, right, there will be certain disappointments in terms of, what's you don't get the company that you want to, or you don't get the job that you want to. It's all right. Life is not about this first company or the second company or the third company. Life is about the end. Not only the end, it's the journey that you go throughout, right? Every milestone you keep learning, right? Every milestone you keep learning. If you fall, I don't know how many people of y'all like the Batman movies. One of my favorite dialogues from that is when Bruce Wayne's father asks him, why do we fall, Bruce? Right? So that we get up and then we can run faster, aim faster, fly higher, right? So the world is out there. Small disappointments, don't take them too hard, right? I would just segue in to say that don't take life too seriously. Live life with your fullest potential, but don't take life too seriously in terms of what it throws back to you, right? Enjoy this journey. So that would be me. I had a great time coming over here. Thank you so much for this opportunity again, Anand, and thank you, Arunama, also for introducing me.
So wise words and great thoughts of living life and not taking it very seriously. So that is where you put your 100% and don't take the pressure and stress of being here. Shashank, it was a very wonderful and very connected show. We are getting so many responses. I could not just putting few of them and just one going, second coming. So probably I have to write a separate mail about all the feedbacks from students. And it's so awesome to have you, Shashank, and Arunima. Very rightly you brought Shashank here, and your presence, Arunima, definitely has brought a lot of positive vibes among students who are back at home and looking for their future, not very much aware. They're still to join the mainstream of the industry and the corporate world, still in colleges. So such sessions actually will help a lot. And we definitely, Shashank, would love you to have you back. And on a topic of your choice for freshers, we don't want to restrict you with IT career and sales and take the best out of you. The amount of exposure experience you carried will definitely be a mindset changer for a lot of students to believe in themselves and to excel and to grow up with confidence. So thank you so much, Shashank and Arunima, for being here at Career Pathshala. This is an initiative by CII Young Indians for students across 50 cities of the chapter, and in fact across the India people have subscribed, and we had around 17,000 plus registrations and a good number of students coming in participating in the daily quizzes and various opportunities. We also would be doing the assessments with the help of Aspiring Minds. Today we got an official update that Aspiring Minds is also going to provide free assessments on employability to all the students who have been an active part of Career Pathshala. This is once we have a good intention, everything conspires. So Career Pathshala is all about you, Shashank, Arunima, guiding. You are the torch bearers and the professors of this Career Pathshala. We are just the platform, and on behalf of the student fraternity and and the academic fraternity and CII, I really thank you so much. And we'll not let you go. We'll definitely, in our next 15-20 days which is left, we'll try to bring you again a lot of positive and a lot of inputs you brought in. So tomorrow again we will have a special session on placement scenarios during COVID times. We will be bringing in leaders of industry. We will have the Cognizant HR, Capgemini recruitment head, and from Extria product company we also will be having director of tech systems. So all the four companies, we thought to bring a combination of mass recruiter to product, and we'll be talking about how the placement will be. So it will be at 4 p.m. along with our Vice Chancellor, sir. So guys, do join in at 4 p.m. And once again, Shashank and Arunima, it was a rocking show we had, and a lot of comments. I just want to bring some of them which I can. With this scroll going up and up, I cannot take much, but with my limited capability, I'm just putting pointers and bringing in. So
Thank you so much, sir. I'm really grateful for you to still be connected, and you thought that I could be a good, I don't know, a mediator for us to have this kind of a platform and give back to my college, my group, and it's great. It's a great place where the two of us could get connected, and it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I completely
Thank you,
echo.
Shashank.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Sure. So signing off for the day. We catch up tomorrow at 4 p.m. guys. Do tune in. Thank you.